Hi there, my name is Kimberly Inez Mays, and I have a question for you. Do you have AI imposter syndrome? And if you do, you may want to listen up. And if you don't, you may want to listen up anyway. And if you have never seen me before, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kimberly Inez Mays, and I demystify technology for service based businesses so that they can finally stop duct taping their systems together and start scaling with confidence. And I do so through marketing, automation, technology, and of course, AI. And before I go into AI imposter syndrome, I want to define what imposter syndrome is. Imposter syndrome is the feeling that you're not good enough or not knowledgeable enough to really become an expert or even a practitioner of a particular tool or topic, or you even feel like you can't speak on it or be in the room with people who are knowledgeable of that thing. So if that sounds like you, definitely listen up. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is giving people millions of aha moments, because I know we all have them. And what's so great about artificial intelligence, where it's at now versus where it was even at like 3 years ago, is astounding. Now everybody's an expert, but how is it that you can stand out amongst many? And I'll tell you how. And before I tell you how, I want you to just think about, what are the things that you are good at? What are the things that still make you special? Because no matter what technology tool comes out, you are always going to be top of whatever it is that you're doing. You're still going to do things in your own unique way. You're still going to solve the problems that you're going to solve. And more importantly, those problems will still exist in the marketplace for you to solve. A lot of the times we think that, oh, well, now AI can do it, so now my services aren't needed anymore, or I'm not proficient in everything artificial intelligence, and maybe because it produces a result that is 10 times faster than what I can do, then maybe I'm obsolete. And I feel that thought. Like, if you have those thoughts, I definitely feel you on that, because even myself as a technologist, I spent years honing my craft, right? I spent years learning how to code. I spent years on project management. I spent years on, just funnels and marketing and just learning how to integrate tools and learning how to automate things that were previously done manually. So now, with the advent of a lot of these tools, it's like, okay, well, let me take a step back. Everybody is now an AI expert. Now everybody knows how to automate. Like, even before, a couple of years prior, I would do a lot of websites. Now you can make a website in under an hour, maybe even less. And you can do that with AI as well. I've covered that. So how do you beat off that imposter syndrome and say, okay, well, I'm going to step into what it is that I'm good at, even though these tools and these platforms exist? Well, number one, I will tell you this. I will tell you that they're not perfect. I mean, they're getting better. They're getting a lot better, leaps and bounds, but they're not perfect yet. I was just reading this article. It was on NBC News. It's actually pretty interesting, but I'm looking for multiple sources of the same thing before I can present it as truth. But it was an article, and I'm just looking at my computer now. It was an article about people who are going into companies and now cleaning up the AI work, or cleaning up the AI slop. And this is more on the graphic design component. How many businesses have you known that have created a logo using ChatGPT or whatever? No shade if this is you, but you're going to get something that is super generic. You're going to get something that is, well, that can't be trademarked really as of this recording. I don't think you can trademark a logo made with ChatGPT. And then, of course, don't get me started on a lot of the videos. So a lot of AI generated artwork and content does draw the ire of the public. I was watching a commercial the other day, and I immediately identified all of the B-roll footage as AI. So what are these companies now doing? They're hiring experts to come in, to identify the uncanniness of certain things and to even recreate that asset if needed. So I'm looking at the article. People are recreating logos. People are fixing things, finding things because the tools aren't yet perfect. And even if they are perfect, I still believe that in many instances, human creativity is always going to win out. So in that sense, just because it can put something out quickly doesn't mean that it's always going to be the best. And a lot of times, the producers of this content or of these materials don't properly read or vet the outputs. So that does lead to now a need for experts to come in and say, no, I know how to use these tools better than you, and I know what to look for to understand what's good and what's not good, right? So that is a definite way that you can stand out from the others by saying, look, I know that these tools exist, but my unique selling proposition is that I have specialized knowledge and training to use these tools to work faster, but to use them better than your audience or your customers can do it on their own. And that is going to be the case no matter what it is that you're doing, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a web designer, a coder, programmer, what have you, right? Because a lot of these tools are now leveling the playing field, but the playing field is never going to be leveled. So you have to look for unique positioning within your offerings to say, look, I know this exists, I use it too, but here is why I can do a better job. And you're always going to need to evolve in your presentation and in your posture and your stance on where it is or what it is that you do, so that you can kind of knock off this imposter syndrome. Because I've had it for quite a while, especially, back in the day. I want to say back in the day, but at least 2 years ago, I was like the first to do the AI selfies, put my face on things. And it was more of a hobbyist at the time. People wanted to learn how to do it, but now it's so like commonplace. It's just like all over the place. Everybody has an AI generated portrait of themselves, or everybody was turning themselves into action figures at one time, or Barbie dolls or Muppets. And then I said, okay, well, that was something that I had gotten a lot of attention for before it went, before it started to become popular. But now I have to take a step back and say, okay, well, now what, right? Because a lot of times people will just do things and they don't think that an expert is required. And maybe not. Maybe the expert does need to move on, like I've moved on from web design. But it's just really about knowing your unique position. So I would say that's like number one is AI is just not perfect. Number two, honestly, obviously I kind of covered that, just knowing your unique position. And then number three is just learning about it, getting your feet wet. And why I say number three is really important, because that's what I teach and that's what I get excited about. And so if you're having imposter syndrome over AI, maybe it's just time to just jump in and dabble in it for a little bit. I know that, a lot of people say, well, I'm not really a coder, or I'm not really into that, or it can't really help me, or I tried it once and it's just weird. And I say, well, don't try to build Rome all in a single day, right? Do something that is a low stakes activity. Maybe turn a piece of content into multiple pieces of content. For example, maybe take that blog post that you've written and now just have your large language model, ChatGPT, for example, or Claude or whatever have you, take that and make pull quotes out of it, make Instagram carousels out of it, make little things that can really help your business. And it doesn't mean that your business is contingent upon that task being successful, but that is a good way for you to learn and for you to understand what these tools can really do without you being so invested in the outcome. You can even use the tools to plan your next meal, right? Sometimes I have a combination of things in my refrigerator and I need a meal, and it's like, well, I have carrots, I have potatoes, I have some broccoli, I have some pasta or rice, whatever. What can I make with what I have? And this is a great way to get into some of the AI concepts, or ChatGPT or whatever, without it being intimidating and it being scary. But the first thing I would say is the third thing I was saying is to get over AI imposter syndrome is to definitely give it a shot, give it a try, because you just never know. You just really never know. Yeah, so that's really all I got to say about that for now. I hope you found this content useful and this content really helpful. I have so much more that I can really say about it, but I think I'm going to reserve it until next time. So take care, be well, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.